Well, hey there, everybody. It's good to see you. I've been a minute. By the time I post this video, it certainly will have been over a week. Might be longer for this one. It's beginner music theory video number 4. We're gonna talk about the circle of fifths. We'll let the lighting adjust a little bit so that when you're looking at that, you can actually see it. So, you may have heard of the circle of fifths. You may have no clue what that means or anything. So we'll start simple. What it means is how everything is related in fifths as far as key changes and gaining sharps or gaining flats or losing sharps, flatting notes, or sharping notes, losing flats, okay? So you start with C major, no sharps, no flats. You go up a fifth, C, D, E, F, G. Now, G major is going to have one sharp in it, and that's an F sharp. Okay? So that's basically what this circle of fifths is telling you from the root of each key. If you go up a fifth and make a major scale off of that note, which is a whole tone, half, whole tone, half. So you do that sequence of notes off of a G, and now suddenly you've got an F sharp because you went up a fifth from C up a fifth, and now you make that guy a major scale. Now your next one would be G, A, B, C, D. Now start from D and make a major scale, and you gain a C sharp. Now you've got two sharps in the key of D major. You've got a C sharp, you got an F sharp. And what's interesting about that is F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. If you just go with me for a second. F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp. So the next sharp you gain is also a fifth away from the last one you gained. So it's pretty cool how that works. Now, go up another fifth from D. It's got D, E, F sharp, G, A. Now build a major scale off of A. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, because there's a whole step there now, G sharp, A. Okay, now you're up to 3 sharps. But what's interesting is you gained a G sharp, right? Well, where is G sharp in relation to C sharp? G sharp is the fifth if you were to go up in a major scale from C sharp. So every sharp you gain is going to be a fifth higher than the last one. So we just gained G sharp off of the key of A. So now you can do a couple of things. You can go up a fifth from A and then figure out that major scale, and you'll know which sharp you're going to gain. Or go up a fifth from the last sharp you gained, and you'll know what your next one is. So let's do it both ways. So starting with just the key itself, you could go A, B, C sharp, D, E. Now you're going to be in the key of E. What sharp did you gain? Well, the last one we gained was G sharp. So let's go up a fifth from it. G sharp, A sharp, B. Now remember, A sharp to B is only a half step. So we're going to have to call it B sharp because you have to progress like you would with a major scale to get your true fifth. So G sharp, A sharp, B sharp. B sharp and C are the same note. So your next note, only a half step up, is going to be C sharp, D sharp. So for E, the key of E, you've now gained another sharp, which is D sharp. So you're now up to, your first one was F sharp, then you added a C sharp, then you added a G sharp, then you added a D sharp. So that's all in fifths. And then if you go from C to G to D to A to E, each one of those is a fifth apart as well. Now that's ascending fifths. You may have noticed, let it focus in a little bit, on the flats side, yeah, I pointed to that right, woo! The flat side is different. It's descending fifths. So if you start from C, no sharps, no flats, and you descend a fifth down to F, you gain one flat. What's that flat? We'll build a major scale off of F. F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B flat, there's your half step spot. So you gain to B flat. Now you can fill out the rest of the scale, but we know that since we only went down 1/5 from C, we're only going to gain one flat. So now we're in F. Now we need to go down a fifth from F. So you'd go backwards, just like in your major scale. So from F major, you'd go F down a half a step, which is to E, down a whole step to D, down a whole step to C, down a whole step to that there B flat that we just gained. So your next key is going to be B flat major. What's the new flat though? Now, you could do this a couple of ways. Now remember with flats, everything is downward. So you go down a fifth from B flat and you'll know what your next flat's going to be. Well, let's do that. So you're going to go B flat, down to A, that's your half step, down to G, whole step, down to F, whole step, down to E flat, it's a whole step. And now you know that your next key, B flat, is going to contain an E flat, which is a fifth below B flat. So now your next flat is going to be a fifth below the E flat, and your next key will be a fifth below B flat. So you can learn what your next key will be by going a fifth down or up from your current root. Your next key will be a fifth up is where you could go, or a fifth down, according to the circle of fifths. Now, you don't have to change keys like that. You'll learn that later on, but right now for what we're talking about. And if you're curious ahead of time of what sharp you may gain or what flat you may gain, you can go a fifth down from the previous flat or a fifth up from the previous sharp to figure out what the new accidental is going to be. So that's why it's called a circle of fifths. Everything is related in fifths, which is either ascending fifths or descending fifths. Now, it's important to note that a descending fifth is always going to flatten a note. Think about that. If you go from G down to C, right, you're going to flatten that F sharp back to an F natural. Flatten the sharp down to a natural. Or the other way around. So if you go from the key of F up to the key of C, that B flat is going to sharpen up to a B natural or raise up. So whenever you go up a fifth, something's going to go up with your new root. Whenever you go down a fifth, something's going to move down with your new root. So that's the circle of fifths. Now, real quick, we're not going to have the guitar in this video a whole bunch, but it's important to note, in case maybe you're not so good at like thinking of things downwardly versus upwardly. I mean, I'm kind of bad at going downward or backwards off of notes. I'm like, you really have to think about it hard. So it's important to note, up a fifth, is up a fifth, but if you want to know what that note is, let's say you're really good at going downward and not upward on notes. Up a fifth and down a fourth are the exact same thing as far as notes go. From C up a fifth, you get a G. From C down a fourth, you get a G. Okay? So just remember that in the circle of fifths, up a fifth and down a fourth are the same thing. Okay? So down a fifth and up a fourth are the exact same thing, right? So from a C down a fifth, you get that F. If you go up a fourth, you get the F. So knowing the inverses can be helpful too, especially if you kind of tend to think slower one direction versus the other. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I'm certainly a slow thinker when it comes to, like, you know, if somebody was like, hey, show me the E scale descending and say the notes when you do it, I'm going to be slower at that than I would ascending. So anyhow, there you go. That's the circle of fifths explained to the best way I can explain it, to kind of give you the best ins and outs to understand, like, what is that thing? Why does it exist? And why it's actually really quite simple when you think about it. Have a wonderful day. You're going to do awesome.